You ever actually sit down and calculate what reacting is costing you? Not guessing, not estimating, actually calculating it. Because most landlords talk about repairs like they're random expenses. They're not. They're the result of decisions that weren't made early. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You're not losing money when something breaks. You're losing money in the time you let it sit before you decide it mattered. That window right there, that's where your profits disappear. So let's stop talking in general terms and actually walk this out. Something changes inside the unit. Not dramatic, but definitely different. Airflow feels off, a smell shows up, something, whatever, breaks, and it stops working. That moment has a value. And if you're not tracking it, you're already behind. Because from the second forward, time starts compounding against you. Day one, nothing gets documented. Day three, still nothing. End of the week, now you're aware, but it's not urgent yet. By the time you act, you're not fixing the original issue anymore. You're fixing everything it touched while it sat. Now put numbers on it. Early catch, $75 to $250, handled clean, done. Delayed response, now it's labor, it's scheduling, it's multiple areas affected. Now it's easily pushed to $1,000 to $3,000. Same issue, different timing. That's the part you need to start writing down. Not just the repairs, the delay, the gap between signal and response. Because once you track that consistently, you start seeing something real. Your money isn't disappearing randomly, it's disappearing predictably. Now, here's where it gets even more clear. Look at how every other serious system operates. Take HR in any real company. You step out of line, there's a defined response, not based on mood, not based on who's working that day, not based on how busy things are. It's documented, it's consistent, it's enforced the same way every time. That's governance. Nobody in a corporate environment says, let's just see how this plays out. That doesn't exist because the second behavior becomes undefined, the entire system becomes unstable. Now compare that to how most landlords operate. A tenant shifts behavior. Something changes inside the unit. A pattern starts forming. And the response is, we'll check it later. Let's give it some time. Maybe it's nothing. That right there is where you lose control. Not when it breaks, when you hesitate. Because hesitation trains people. It teaches people, or it teaches tenants what matters and what doesn't. It teaches them what gets attention and what gets ignored. And once that's learned, everything else follows. Standards drop, reporting slows, care disappears. And then 3 months later, you're standing in the unit trying to figure out how it got this bad. It didn't get that bad. It was allowed to become that bad. Now let's bring this back to what you actually do about it. Because this isn't about awareness, it's about correction. You start by tracking the first moment something changes. Every time, date, time, what shifted, no guessing, no interpretation, just the facts. Then you define response windows. Not we'll get to it. Not as soon as we can. Defined. Same issue equals same timeline every time. Then you remove flexibility from standards. Trash doesn't sit. Damages don't wait. Behaviors doesn't drift. And then you reinforce it. Not once, consistently, because repetition is what builds behavior. Now here's where this gets powerful. When you run this correctly, your cost don't just go down. Your entire operation stabilizes because tenants know what matters. They know what triggers action. They know what happens next. That removes guessing. And when guessing is gone, damage drops. That's why that's why other industries feel smooth. It's not because people are better, it's because behavior is defined. Real estate never installed that, and landlords have been paying for it ever since. So stop looking at your next repair like it's the problem. It's not. The problem is what wasn't defined before it showed up. Train, protect, prosper. That's the gold mine way. I teach before I tax. I partner before I punish. I build people, therefore I protect property. That's not philosophy. That's cost control at the highest level. So if you actually want to stop bleeding money, don't wait for the next issue. Start tracking the moment things changed. Define what it means and control what happens next. Because that's where your profit is being decided. Not at the end, at the very beginning.